but he says don't hold that against him. He has been married for 8 years to Glenda and has a 9-month-old daughter. This is his first speech out of the manual, his icebreaker speech. Please welcome Brian Carson.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow members and guests. According to the manual, this speech is supposed to introduce me to you, and I was trying to find things that might be interesting, some neat fact or way to frame my life that would be appealing to such a fun-loving group of people at 6:30 in the morning. And I tried to think of some things, and the first thing that came to mind was telling you about the small Kansas town that I grew up in, and walking through that town that kind of time forgot with my dad as he would tell me stories about days gone by in the town, or see him perform in a play at the local university where I first fell in love with theater, especially when he would take me backstage and give me the all-access backstage pass and look at the sets from the other side and the trapdoors and things like that. They were a lot of fun. But then I got to thinking, that's nice, but there's another aspect of my life that was fairly important, which was growing up in this small little Baptist church where I was mentored by my youth pastor, who gave me first the vision for attaching entertainment with spirituality. And we even went so far as to brainstorm and work together on a 15-minute radio program for teens called WYT, or Walk Your Talk, where we take music and radio drama and some devotional thoughts in order to make people laugh, make people think. And that sounded like it might be a little bit more interesting for you to hear, but I thought I could go better, an adventure story perhaps. So when I left Kansas, we moved to Oklahoma to attend college, not OU, but to study theater and further hone my skills in acting, where I also fell in love with writing and learning how to tell stories through words. It was also there where I had to make a decision. Was I going to go the fame and fortune route and try to do all I could to pursue acting and writing in order to make a big name for myself? And I found that if I was going to do that, I'd probably have to put my values on the back burner and put a lot of that in jeopardy. Or was I going to stay true to the things that I really believed in, which limited my career options, but it did leave me a little less conflicted. It would have made my stories a little bit more glamorous if I had gone the other route, but they would not nearly have been they would have been more conflicted, I guess, those stories. But then I got to thinking, I'm in Texas. Probably a lot of you were born in Texas, and if it's one thing I know about Texans, they like hearing about Texas. So I thought maybe I should talk about when I moved from Oklahoma to Texas to go to seminary, where I went there to get a better understanding about theology with the stuff that I was writing, and that's where I met this serious-minded laser beam named Glenda, and found out that she went to college initially to become a jazz trombonist. Who couldn't fall in love with that? So we got married, and for 8 years we've lived in Fort Worth, lived all over town. I don't know, there's a quarter of Fort Worth where we cannot drive through and go, hey, look, that's our old neck of the woods. But I also consider talking about my current life, working at Hope Church in the realm of video and drama production, and that even though I went to seminary and graduated from seminary, which is a rarity, I had no intention of actually working for a church, ever. But it's the best job that I've ever had. And I got to thinking about this statement that an old Middle Eastern king once said, that if you take the things of God seriously, He will give you the desires of your heart. And I think you can take that phrase two ways, and that both of them have been true in my life. That there have been desires that I wanted to see come to pass, whether it's in acting or writing or that kind of thing, And I've had the opportunity to do those in a wide variety of ways. But you can also take that phrase that God puts desires into your heart to have. And I think the biggest example would involve my daughter. Probably about a year ago, I would have thought that any child under the age of 10 was highly annoying. But in the 9 months leading up to Lindy arriving on the scene, it was highly exciting. Now that she's here, it's exciting, and I could even foresee us having more than just the one child. She's a hoot. So I thought about all these different angles to put this speech in, and as you can see, I really didn't have a focus for this speech, but you have all been very patient to listen to this. And this is the manual speech, the icebreaker speech. And according to the manual, at the very end of the speech, I am to say thank you very much and then enjoy the applause.